Alrighty, well, the time has finally come to start the FUMMINS build. I'm super excited about this. So to take care of a few things before we could get started on this, I finished up my LS Miata doing a bunch of upgrades to it, got it back up and ripping, stitch welded the subframe, new mounts, yada yada yada, and that is all fixed and back together. We put an electric steering column in it, and I'll show you. So, a lot of force. Like literally one finger. It's crazy, and we can adjust the stiffness down here, and it's really exciting. Finished up the work on my swap GC8, was able to get it dropped off to my buddy Adam for paint. Adam does an absolutely killer job making these paint videos. Everyone I know who's gone and watched one of his videos has one, wanted to start painting, two, had nothing but good things to say. So I definitely suggest checking them out if you have some time. I'll put the link below.
So here it is, the GC. This is the beginning of the paint job.
Excited to get this thing painted. It really worked out, like timing wise, because I've been kind of wrapping up some stuff on it, and then you had an opening, and it worked out perfect because it's gonna look so much better when it's painted. So Austin like fixed a few things on it, and I mean there's still stuff I need to do, but it's kind of was gonna go on the back burner for a while, and it's not really in a position where I can drive it all that much. So it's like it was just gonna sit for the next while anyway. So
anything that's black, leave it black. Anything that's red, go red. Anything else crazy that you can think of, or just go for it.
Just whatever you want to do. If you come up with an idea and you think like, oh, this will look really cool, I'll probably think it looks cool too. So
cool, for sure. Well, alrighty, Taylor, we'll see you later. I'm gonna go ahead and get the car pressure washed, get it cleaned off, and then get it over to the shop, and then start sanding it down, and you guys will see the whole process like always.
Now we've got everything we need to get handled, and we can get to work on the trucks. Super exciting. So for those of you who are not familiar with this project, basically I tried pretty much every diesel truck in the under $20,000 price range. You know, Ford 7.3, LLY Duramax, 3rd gen Dodge, 1st gen Dodge, you know, and I bounced around between them, and they all had some major pitfalls, and any other ones available in that range had major pitfalls. Like these 6.4 Fords blew up, and the 3rd gen Dodges had transmission problems and weren't very nice. The chassis aren't very good. So after kind of trying everything, I realized that if I really wanted to get everything I wanted in a truck, which is a big list and a very specific list, I was gonna have to build my own, which is okay. So I picked this 09 F350 up. So it's 4-wheel drive dually. I have a big 36-foot gooseneck, so I wanted to get a dually, you know, in case I go even bigger than that. But it is fully loaded. It has everything I wanted. It's fully optioned out, sunroof, steering wheel AC controls, like all, you know, all the knickknacks that make stuff like this a little bit nicer to deal with on long trips. And it being a nice, newer, only a 10-year-old truck, it's a lot more modern than the older trucks. They're a lot quieter inside, they ride nice, just overall better for really long trips. And that's a big thing for me because I tow all around the country to events, races, drift events, etc. So I bought this truck already blown up for $6 grand. And then at the auction, I found this 05 Dodge Ram 2500 4-wheel drive, and I bought this for $33.50. It's just been wrecked in the front there. So basically what we're gonna do is take the Common Rail Cummins engine out of this truck and put it in this truck. So we'll get a nice new comfortable Ford chassis, nice transmission, all of that, but without the complications of the V8 and the difficulty to work on of a big V8 diesel. We'll have a nice, simple, very easy to work on, very reliable inline 6 Cummins in there. You know, whatever engine you like, you may be a Power Stroke fan, a Duramax fan, a Cummins fan, but at the end of the day, there is no denying how much easier it is to work on an inline 6 engine than it is to work on a V8 that is crammed in there. I mean, you know, these trucks, people commonly pull the cabs off to do the head gasket. So to me, it kind of gets everything I want. I've got a nice, reliable, powerful, efficient engine that's easy to work on, and a nice newer chassis, which is exactly what I want because I work on everything myself. So, you know, the easier it is to work on, the better. So what we need to do is basically strip down both trucks, pull everything we need out of that and everything we're gonna sell, pull everything that we're not going to use out of this truck, and then start swapping. So first order of business is getting the engine harnesses out. So we need to get the engine harness out of this truck and out of this truck because we're using a company called DCS, Diesel Conversion Specialist, for their swap kit. So we have all the swap kit parts, but one thing we need to do is send the engine harness out of this truck and that truck to them. They will make a merge harness that will allow the Cummins engine to communicate with the Ford chassis so that all our stuff works, our tack, and you know, everything works like it should as if it was the engine that came in that truck. So since we have to wait for them to do that service, we need to get that done now. So while we're working on everything else, they'll be working on the harnesses, yada yada. So let's get started. I never remember where the hood latch is on this thing. I think it's over here. Yeah. All right, start tearing her apart. So the reason we're pulling the harness out of this truck first is because this truck's already immobile, and I want to keep the other truck mobile so that I can, you know, pull it over to the shop and whatnot. So I'm tearing this one, the harness out of this one here, pretty far from the shop, just because it's going to be easier this way. Basically, I don't want to move it in the way until we're on the tear down of this, which we've got to tear down the Dodge first. So got to pull the harness out and then they're off. Okay, that wasn't that bad. This goes here, it's a 10 mil. Oh, there we go. That one was interesting. This connector on each side. I literally just brought with me a 10 mil on an impact, a flathead, a Phillips head, and a couple picks. I wonder if we'll be able to get through pulling this whole harness out with just those tools. Cutting dikes, that's another thing I should have got for sure. Oh, there's one more. One freaking more. It's down there too. I don't know where it goes. It's like under this alternator bracket. All right, we're very close. We got this whole side done. Everything. We've got two connectors right here, which are easy to get to, and then one that goes somewhere and looks like it will be pretty hard to get to because it's behind all these brackets and I don't really know exactly where it goes, so I'm gonna have to try to figure out where that one goes and get to it. But we're close, very close. Basically, we've got a wire that runs down here somewhere, basically behind the accessory drive, which, as you can see, there's no real way to get to it. At least it doesn't seem like there is. And then there's another one that goes down right here, and same thing, tucks in behind this bracket, and I have no clue where it goes from there. I've disconnected AC stuff from the bottom. I thought that might be it, but there's definitely something else plugged in there, and like I said, something right here that we're gonna have to tackle. So I'm really trying to wait to tear anything else besides the engine harness out of this truck until I'm tearing down the whole truck. That way I can keep everything organized, keep it in the right places, that way I don't lose anything. So I'm gonna try to mess with this a little longer, see if I can't get them out without pulling the front end off, but you know, if it's too much of a pain, front end's got to come off anyway. There's no reason to dilly-dally around it, and might as well just take it off. So yeah, I'll keep tinkering. I'll let you guys know what happens. Check it out. Oh, we got caught on something. It's out. It is freaking out. Man, what a struggle, dude. So this part was the nightmare. So this is the one connector I couldn't find. This is basically the top of the motor here. This is where it went down into no man's land, and then I had found the AC one, which is this guy, and then I just could not see where this one went. Well, it went to the front bottom of the motor just above the oil pan, but there's like cooler lines, some other wire loom, and something else all running right there. It was in a very tricky to get to spot. Moral of the story, but once I found it, at least I just had to struggle with it, just barely snaked my finger in there, popped it off. So super glad we got that out. It was also a little tricky because you see these little plastic things, so these hold the loom to the front of the motor so it doesn't move around. Well, you can't see them because they're buried back there, so I didn't know if they were there or not. I assumed this is what was hanging me up because I knew both of the connectors were free, but anyway, I just had to suck it up and chance it and yank on it to break those two little holders free. But once we got that done, the harness came out. The amount of time it took me to get that one out is about how long it took for me to get the rest of the harness out. But it's out. It is out and about. So we're essentially done messing with this truck for the moment. Like I said, I don't want to tear into this truck until I'm tearing it completely apart because I don't want to lose parts. The first truck we need to tear into is this truck. We need to get our engine out, get everything we want off of it to sell it, get it to scrap, etc. So let's toss this in here. Oh, it does not smell very good inside this truck. All right, what do you think? You think she's gonna fire up? I wanna do a couple tests just to make sure everything's healthy and good. Test what I can while the motor's still running, assuming it still runs. We gotta connect the batteries. Ooh, a little sparky spark. All right, batteries are roughly connected. Let's see if this thing fires up. I have faith in the old girl. I think she'll fire right up. Ha ha ha! Look at that, still runs. Trying to make a little test hit here. So I want to figure out if the truck's not making boost or if we have an issue with the fuel. There was some water in the fuel bowl when I drained it when we were trying to get this thing to start the first time. It feels good down low, like it's got plenty of takeoff pep, but it's when you get into it, it just doesn't feel like it's making any boost. So, I mean, it is bone stock. I've never driven one of these bone stock. The last one I had was, you know, had an EFI Live on it and intake exhaust, but I don't know. I want to mess with it while it's in a running vehicle before we pull it out and then have no answers. Man, we've only got 10.5 miles to the gallon lately. Oh, the lights got brighter. Okay, so I think I figured out why it's not building boost without a bunch of load. See that crack? I can feel the exhaust. Split right there. Let me shut this thing off. So basically what's happening is the exhaust, a lot of it, is coming out of that crack instead of going down to the turbo, because the turbo is going to have a lot more resistance that it's going to have coming out of that crack. So a lot of the exhaust gas that's meant to spool the turbo up is just essentially bypassing it. So I'm sure that's not the whole deal there. I'm sure there's probably a boost leak somewhere too, but that definitely will contribute a lot to it not wanting to really build a bunch of boost. So I'm gonna keep looking around. I checked out the main stuff when I got this thing because I bought it sight unseen. So when it got dropped off from the auction place, you know, I checked blow by, it has literally none. You know, I checked the oil, the pressures, the temp, made it, you know, ran it up and let it sit idle for a while, and, you know, check the main stuff you check. But I didn't really look through to try to find any boost leaks or do all that much driving with it. So I really just kind of want to figure out as much of this stuff as I can now, so there's no surprises once we get it in the other truck. So I'm trying to hook up my HP tuners just to show you guys the blow-by test. Kind of hard to do on the Dodges upside down, but all right, well, we've done pretty much everything we need to do with the truck running and driving. There's really not much more we can inspect without actually working on the engine and taking it apart, which we're going to do anyway. So we've got it in essentially its final resting spot. We're about to make it undrivable, so this is kind of where it's going to sit. So I decided to keep it out here instead of putting it in the shop because I'm not going to put it on the lift anyway. So there's not really any point to have it taking up a ton of space in the shop, and I'd be more cramped working on it than I am out here. So anyway, let's wiring harness out. That's number one most important thing, because we need to ship that out tomorrow. So I want to get that out and then start digging into everything else. hopefully that's all. There is one more ECU connector. So I'm kind of doubtful that that's the whole harness, but we'll find out. We gotta look through, see where the rest of the other one goes. We got what I believe to be this. I think we definitely need this because this ties into the other harness, goes down to where the trans would be. I mean, we need to get it off either way. So the struggle here, I mean, like for example, there's these little clips that hold this thing on, and the only way to really get the clip off is to push it and then get a screwdriver under it, push down, and then pull out, basically. So anyway, this one, for example, was bolted down way back under here. There's a dipstick in the way, a breather tube, fuel bowl, fuel lines, barely get to where it was. So anyway, my thought is, basically this engine harness was not designed to be removed in the car. It's designed to where you can disconnect it from the chassis harness and pull the engine out with the engine harness still connected, which is a cool design. But if you're like me and you're trying to pull just the harness out, it makes it a little tricky. And the reason why I went that route and decided to pull the harness out while the engine was still in here is I'm gonna get this harness sent out as quick as possible. This harness, the other harness, and then the Ford harness, all sent to them so they can start their merge service on them while I'm doing everything else. So this was priority number one. In hindsight, definitely a little bit more difficult doing it this way. So I don't know, if you had plenty of time, definitely would have been better off pulling the engine out and then taking the harnesses off once the engine was out. But one way or another, we got them out, we can ship them out. Alrighty, so we've got both of our harnesses out of the truck. So we've got our Ford harness, both of our Dodge harnesses. Lesson definitely learned on the Dodge harness. Whenever I put that engine in the Ford, I'm gonna try to put the harness on the engine first. It's definitely designed that way because it's got all these clips and it's mounted all securely, and then there's just a few plugs you have to undo, like big plugs. The ECU is attached to the block. It's definitely designed to be removed with the engine. So we'll put it in with the engine next time. But like I said, I really just wanted to get it out and get it sent out as fast as possible. So we've got our little sheet here that we'll need to fill out, throw in the box with these harnesses, and get them sent out to DCS, Diesel Conversion Specialists. So they're the ones that make the entire swap kit that we're using, which we have right here. So I have not dug into these boxes yet. I've been waiting, I've been saving it. So I'm gonna get this stuff packaged up and ready to ship out, or shipped out, and then we're gonna dive into these boxes. All right, well, this is the Christmas morning part, opening the boxes. So we're gonna start with the lightest of the small boxes and the small boxes before we dive into the big box. Sandy! What? What are you doing, dude? You're like rolling around in the sun? Sandy, you wanna go ahead and start pulling the engine out of the truck while I'm doing this? Nah, I mean, I don't blame you. So just save the bolts, make sure you don't lose anything. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Anyway, I know some of you guys enjoy seeing Sandy. Sandy Sands. I have another cat, his name's Tuck, but he doesn't like going outside. They both just showed up at my house multiple nights in a row at my old house. And eventually, they just started living there. Alright, so we've got an air filter. I didn't even realize this came with an air intake. That's pretty sick. Oh, this one's heavy. I'm gonna guess motor mounts. Yep. Motor mount brackets. Hardware. Be surprised how many companies don't include hardware. Big. Okay, so this is this bolt. Big box. But I mean, actually, before we dive into that, look at the quality of these things. Super nice weld. So beefy. So beefy. I mean, this is quarter, maybe probably 3/8 inch thick steel, and this is more like 1/2 inch. Wow, they give you a freaking booklet. Look at this, like a detailed instruction manual. That is so cool, with the little spiral end and the nice cover. Man, stuff like this really tells you how much time and effort a company puts into their product and what they're putting out there, and like the responsibility they take for it. A lot of people are like, oh no, figure it out, you don't need an instruction manual, but they take the time to build you this nice instruction manual, send it to you, not just, oh, it's on our website, download it. Like, I don't know, that's a nice touch. Little stuff like that makes me happy. Thank you for your purchase. Thank you for choosing DCS as your conversion partner. A project like this can be a big undertaking. If this is your first, rest assured we'll be there to help you through it. Guaranteed, 100%. They have been so cool. I have asked so many times simple things, like just pulling those harnesses out. I was like, hey, by the way, like this connector goes down here. I can't really find it. Do you know what it goes to? And they're Johnny on the spot on the freaking weekend, emailing me back, answering my questions so I can keep moving with the project. Like they have been such an awesome company as far as like customer service goes. So anyway, I'll stop now. They're really, really cool guys. So yeah, let's dig into this. So we've got hose. I figured out a way to organize all this stuff. Radiator hose. Another radiator hose, looks like intake pipe for our air filter. Alternator bracket, power steering bracket, AC hoses, stickers, must have, throttle pedal module, because both of these are electric throttle pedal assembly. I'm assuming this is a flex plate. Yeah, this is a really nice flex plate. Let me get the rest of this stuff out, and I'll show you guys the rest of it. That is a beautiful piece. Look at that adapter plate. SFI certified flex plate. Really nice billet steel flex plate. That makes me happy because I know on these Cummins trucks, like the Cummins flex plates like to break. A lot of diesel trucks, really the flex plates like to break around the middle. So it's nice to have an upgraded billet one. You know, if you're doing the swap anyway, it's nice that they include that instead of giving you some basic one. All right, so here's what we've got. Starting from left to right, we got motor mounts, hardware. Like I said, it's so awesome they include all the hardware and really nice hardware, like grade 8 flange head bolts. I hate when you get hardware with something and like I end up changing it out anyway because I hate the non-flange head and won't get into it. Nice hardware included with the motor mounts. We got our alternator bracket, power steering bracket, some tubing. I'm assuming this would be for the exhaust. This is definitely for radiator hoses because it's bead rolled on the end. We got some other hoses. This would I would guess would be an adapter to go to the heater core, our AC little manifold block to adapt. I believe we'll be using a Dodge AC compressor going into the forward lines. Filter, more hoses, radiator hoses, intake boot, things like that. And we've got our SCT programmer. This is used to control the transmission on the Ford. Swap helper. What is this? I think this is like some CAN bus stuff. Throttle pedal module, throttle pedal, air horn assembly. Gotta open that and see what that is. Then we've got adapter plate. Beautiful billet adapter plate. More nice hardware. These are really, really nice grade 8 bolts. Beautiful billet flex plate. So yeah, this is everything we need to swap our Common Rail Cummins into our 6.4 Ford truck. I am super, super excited. Like I said, I've been waiting for a while to open these boxes, but finally getting to see everything laid out. And I have to say, this is even more comprehensive than I realized. Like having all the stuff here laid out, like this is a very, very comprehensive swap kit. But yeah, this is it, man. We've got our parts truck with our engine in it. I mean, we have everything we need. We've got the swap kit, we got the harnesses sent out, got the other truck. I mean, we should have everything we need. Just go full tilt and get this done. So unfortunately, we're out of time for this video, but we're gonna be working really, really hard, try to get this project knocked out quick. And yeah, if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. But otherwise, I'll see you for the next one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Goodbye.